You're listening to Packers Talk Network.
PackersTalk.com. Do you want to experience the thrill of a Packers game at Lambeau Field? If so, be sure to get your game tickets from the longtime trusted source in Wisconsin, Ticket King. Visit their locations in Milwaukee and Green Bay, or just go to their website, theticketking.com. Again, that's theticketking.com.
This is Titletown Sound.
Prepare yourself for overwhelming intelligence.
He's going to look like Gronk riding a unicorn carrying a lightsaber.
I know how toast works.
Clay Matthews, Squirrel Whisperer.
Your squirrel naming game is not strong.
The turd cheeseburger could come back.
If one of us wants to pee on it, sure.
I'm not bailing you out on that.
I was acting unprofessionally.
I'm just here to ruin things.
Welcome to Titletown Sound. I'm your host, Jeremy VanderLinden. Along with me today is a full crew, which is fantastic. We have David Bobke, as per usual, the traditional host of the show, but I have commandeered his position. Kristofco and James Korsmo. Guys, how you doing?
Rockin'.
Just Bobbo? Just Bobbo's rocking.
I'm this is, hey, how's it going?
Muy verdad.
Nice.
Oh, God.
Good job. We were studying our Portuguese. We have to mention that.
Yes, we were. Well, one of us was. Anyways, this is episode 73, the JC Treader edition, which, as all of you should know, that literally means nothing. On today's show, we're going to break down the rules of the CFL. Bobbo is going to do the entire show in Portuguese, and James will be singing show tunes. Chris will be telling us how to avoid plagiarism on Twitter. So, which we actually should cover that in a segment. No, for real, we're going to start off. We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers today. We're going to talk about his relationship with his family. We're going to get into the Hall of Fame game. We're going to answer your Twitter questions. But before we do that, I wanted to give a shout out to Cheeseheads BR, a group from Brazil. They're running a Portuguese Packers site. Packer Nation needs to be supporting these guys. Here's the thing. This group, they really love the Packers. There is no dedicated Portuguese site. So for them to read Packer stuff, they use a lot of Google Translate, which we all know is terrible.
They're one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Packers fan communities outside the U.S. And give them a follow just to give them some support. We want somebody to notice them, honestly, from the Packers and throw them a bone here or there. But even if you don't speak Portuguese, it's really fun to read, even if you have no idea what they're saying.
Well, it's really fun to listen to Bobbo read it. That's for sure. With that being said, actually, Bobbo has prepared a message for our friends in Brazil. We just want to welcome them to the Titletown Sound Off community. Thank you for listening to the show. Bobbo, take it away.
This is going to go really well. Eu sou Bobbo e cheiro vagamente de hamsters tesal. Pois meus colegas são idiotas.
That went so much better than I was hoping for.
It was spot on. It was perfect. Gosh. All right. Well, with the important stuff out of the way now, let's get into this. So, I'm sure many of you followed The Bachelorette, at least just a little bit, with Jordan Rodgers being on. During the show, there were some moments where Jordan was talking about his relationship with Aaron and basically how it's been non-existent. The other things that have been going on lately, Greg Jennings has been in multiple articles lately and seems to have a very strong bias towards Brett Favre as his quarterback over Aaron Rodgers, which we all remember the stuff Greg Jennings said when he left Green Bay. So that brings us to this question. Is Aaron Rodgers the guy that we all want him to be? Is Aaron Rodgers the guy that Packers fans imagine that he is in the locker room? So I'm going to throw it to Chris first. I can feel the heat coming already.
Look, so I don't care about his personality. I've gotten over that, caring about the players' personalities and what they're really like. I'm not going to be having a beer with Aaron Rodgers anytime soon. I imagine that he is a bit more aloof than Brett Favre. I mean, just look at the two, Brett Favre versus Aaron Rodgers. And which one do you think is, snapping towels and telling dirty jokes in the locker room? I mean, I'm guessing it's Brett Favre. Who's the one that relates to the players better? It's probably Favre. Who's the one that was probably more demanding in the locker room? Aaron Rodgers. So what I think you've got in the case of like Greg Jennings, let's take his personal life out of it. But in the case of Greg Jennings, it's a guy that didn't respond well to that. And people respond differently to different personalities. So Jennings just wasn't one that responded well to Rodgers being demanding. And I think he kind of holds a grudge from that. I'm guessing that Favre built him up and Rodgers held him a little more accountable. That's just a guess. As far as the personal life, I don't know. I don't really care. We don't know what happened. It's unfortunate that it's so public, that their relationship isn't very good. But it doesn't change how I feel about him being on the field. I'm going to root for him because he's a Packer, not because, I think we're ever going to be friends.
I think you hit the nail on the head, though. The worst part of that whole thing is the fact that it's so public. And that is on the part of Greg Jennings. None of that has to be public. And the same goes for Jordan Rodgers. None of the stuff in their family should be public, has to be public, but they brought it out into public. So, James, your thoughts?
Hold on one second on the Greg Jennings thing. Here's the thing about what Jennings said, and I don't know if you got if people out there have read the article. He basically said that he thinks the players would put it all on the line for Favre a little easier than they would for Rodgers. And I think he was talking about because of their leadership styles. I don't fault Jennings for talking about that publicly. I think he was being honest, and we almost have a gut reaction against players talking honestly. I'm sure there was a little bit of a grudge there, but that's his honest feelings. I don't have a problem with that. Greg Jennings doesn't have to toe the company line now that he's retired, forever. And I think from what Driver said, we saw there might be a little truth to it. So I don't have a problem with that. Be as public as you want about how he plays football and how he is in the locker room as a leader. It's the family stuff that really bugs me.
As it should.
All right. James.
My whole opinion on the Greg Jennings and Donald Driver stuff is, for me, it's a generational thing, almost as much as it is anything else. When Favre started playing for the Packers, life was a lot different. Society was different, and people looked up and held people to higher esteem that behaved similarly to Brett Favre. Very, hey y'all, how's it going? Snap a towel, ha ha ha. Let's go win a football game. Well, now you have the younger generation coming out, and they don't mesh as well. And you see Aaron Rodgers demanding. He's a bit more cerebral, and he's much more demanding that not only how to run a route, but why you're running that route. And Favre is like, just run straight and turn, and I'll throw the ball. So I think when you take a quarterback and you change the way the whole system works, of course there's going to be some dissension there. And I don't fault Greg Jennings at all for speaking his mind. I think he could have been a bit more tactful about it, especially when he was still an active player in the league. But I don't fault him for it. The Jordan Rodgers stuff is stupid. There's no other word for it. It's all made up drama. And I'm sure there's family drama. There's family drama in my family. My family hates me. It's just how it is. But you don't see me on ABC every week talking about how my family hates me. It's just, I come home from work and eat my TV dinner and crawl into my dog house and take a nap. That's what I do. But Jordan Rodgers was given a platform and probably a script, I'm guessing. I'm sure the producers had a lot to say about it. And lo and behold, the guy ends up winning the thing and ratings. So it holds no merit to me.
I disagree with you. I'll get to that after Bobbo. But I do want to say on that generational gap, I think a big part of that is the fact there's so much more scrutiny for everything these players are doing now because of Twitter, the fact that fans are so they have platforms available to speak their mind. And players now go through so much more judgment than they did before, just like all of us do. It's so much easier for people to scrutinize anyone because of social media. And so with Rodgers, I'm sure part of it is I think he's a no-nonsense guy. Perform or get off the field. That's just kind of who he is. I think Chris is right. Favre is more playful, and that playfulness meshed a lot better for Greg Jennings. And Aaron Rodgers being the way that he is, it works. Obviously it works. He's great, but that friendship portion, I think, was non-existent. All right, Bobbo.
Yeah, I guess as Chris was talking there, I was kind of thinking the difference between Favre and Rodgers to me seems to be like the difference between having me as your boss and having Chris as your boss. Like with Chris, stuff's gonna get done. With me, I'm gonna be like, you know what? Get your stuff done in like 2 hours, and then we're going to Fuddruckers. Okay? That's just how I motivate, and that's and it has mixed results. But I think with Rodgers too, I'm a little bit, I guess, concerned with the last couple seasons, and the Packers have had really good teams, and I'm wondering if Rodgers is getting maybe a little bit, I don't want to say inside his own head a little bit, getting frustrated with having this really good team the last several years, and whether through injury or people just being ineffective or him being ineffective, he's getting frustrated with not getting back to the Super Bowl and getting another ring, and that's maybe coming out through, that's coming out in the way he's perceived as a leader at this point.
The thing I worry about is that he's being too rigid. So as you said, there are different leadership styles, different people answer, or respond to it. So is he able to see the locker room and say, these guys need encouragement? This is a young team. These young receivers need me to say, you'll get them next time. This is what I need you to do. Or is he so rigid that he's just, when Jeff Janis inevitably runs the route incorrectly, he's done for the practice? That's what I worry about. That maybe as a rookie, or maybe as a younger player, I should say, he almost had to be the hard ass because he was stepping into such big shoes to fill. But now, that he is the veteran, maybe he has to adjust his leadership style.
Mm-hmm. Take him to Fuddruckers, man.
Absolutely, that cheese sauce will change anyone.
Everything.
I think you made a great point. I mean, all that crap that he went through, that'll make a person callous. All they wanted to do was succeed and prove that everyone was wrong, and that he was the rightful starter of the Green Bay Packers. He was the rightful owner of that position. And so maybe he was a little more hard-nosed in the beginning, but I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember seeing Brett Favre week after week screaming at somebody on the field.
No,
and Rodgers
not really.
Rodgers will just let it rip. And I think that's part of that leadership style that rubs people the wrong way. If you have an issue with the way that I'm playing, let's discuss it and fix it, but don't scream at me on TV. I think that would make anyone mad. Now, to the Jordan Rodgers stuff, I don't think that's scripted. I think that there is a real issue there. I think for the last 2 years, he's had issues with his family, and I think that's got to affect you in some way. I'm sure, it sounds to me like it's more Rodgers kind of pulling away from his family than anything else. Not like they're pulling away from him. So maybe it's easier for him to deal with than it would be on their side. But I do think that there is an issue there, and it's kind of a bummer. The thing that's a bummer for me, though, is that Aaron Rodgers has been very vocal about how his family life was growing up and being a Christian, and he speaks very openly about these things. But at the end of the day, now you're disconnected from your family. What in your life has caused you to pull back from your family?
But here's my point. Who cares? Who knows? It could be a number of things. It could be something that's silly that'll be over in a year. It doesn't. I don't care. And if it's affecting him on the field, it's affecting him on the field. But what is our speculation? I saw another article today in a tabloid that said Olivia Munn was the reason. Instead of saying that he was the reason, of course, we blame Olivia Munn. It's just there's no reason for it. We don't gain anything from speculating about it. I know it's titillating to guess what's going on, but who cares?
Yeah, it's stupid. And honestly, as long as Rodgers does a lot, he brings a lot of it on himself, because like you said, he is extremely vocal and has been throughout his career, and then all of a sudden he'll kind of pull away and shut down a little bit, and you're like, okay, why are you not talking now? You're hiding something. And a lot of the times it's information that we as the general public don't need to have. Personally, I don't care if he fights with his brother and his parents. It's sad, and I would, as a human, I'd like for them to be family and get along. But at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback of my favorite football team, and I would like for him to go out and win football games. And whether he needs to start, I don't want to say softening up, but, get out there and be more of a guy that the receivers come to for veteran advice as opposed to getting screamed at after plays. And honestly, I've seen that improve over the last couple of years, and I hope it keeps going that way.
All right, let's move on. This is, well, it's not exactly my favorite topic because, as you said, he is the quarterback of our favorite team, and what we care about is winning. We want to talk about football. We want to think about football. We don't necessarily care about that so much, as long as it doesn't affect what's going on the field, which I don't believe that it is. But as long as that is the case, then whatever. So we're going to move on here. The Packers have a game coming up on Sunday. They're playing in the Hall of Fame game. Brett Favre is going into the Hall, so of course the Packers are going to be part of that game. So they have their game coming up against the Colts, and so my question to you guys is, what or who will you be watching for in the game? Bobbo, I'm going to throw it to you first. What are you looking for in this Hall of Fame game?
I'm going to be looking, I think, for one thing at wide receivers. A lot of talk this offseason. One of the most popular topics has been, will the Packers carry 7 receivers? And now there's questions with Ty Montgomery being injured. Geronimo Allison apparently is looking good. James, I'm sure, can talk a little bit more about Trevor Davis. I'm looking. I want to see what Jason Spriggs does on the offensive line. So, and I guess I want to see a lot out of the defense too, but it's the first preseason game, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. But I think the receiving core is probably the short answer to what you just asked, even though I just gave you the long answer anyway.
All right, James?
Couple things. I'm really interested to see the running backs, everybody behind Lacey. Obviously, he's not going to play. At least I don't think he's going to play. But I've been high on John Crockett since last year. I love the guy. I think he's got huge potential, so I'm interested to see how he does. Trevor Davis, I was at family night and just had almost a front row seat, and I was watching Trevor Davis, and he is legit. He's fast. He's big. He runs well. Rodgers seemed to like him. I was really impressed. But I think even though it's only the first game, my eyes are going to be on the defense because Kenny Clark might be my new spirit animal. And that dude is a beast. He is huge, and he fights, and it's fun to watch. And I want to see him play well. Dean Lowry's been flashing in practice this week. I'd like to see him play well. And the secondary, too. I'd like to see Gunter, see how he does, as well as Robertson Daniel, because he's been playing well, too. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun preseason if nobody ends up in a cart.
Yeah, I think Lowry is a big one for me. He's tall. They said he had short arms, but he's tall. He's a very big man. I think, what is he, like 6'5"? He's massive. All right, Chris.
I'm really going to be riveted by the punting battle.
Yes.
I'm interested to see. I'm going to be focused on the defense as well. I think the defensive line, just to see how that plays out this year. It'll be the first time we see them, in the post-Raji era, I guess, to see how that comes together. I think linebacker play is always a huge question mark, and I'm, got to promise myself that no matter what happens, barring catastrophic injuries, I'm not going to put too much into this game. Plus, I'll be watching it on DVR the next night because someone had the gall to schedule a wedding during a Packers preseason game.
Makes no sense.
I know. I mean,
they must be Bears fans.
Look, well, I understand if you schedule the wedding, you schedule it like a year out or so. But when the schedule comes out and there's a preseason game, you reschedule.
Right. Yes.
I mean,
when they say speak now, you better speak.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry. I'm ready because it's really. I mean, let's put it this way: they're not getting a gift. Their gift is me being there, not watching the game.
All right. For me, I mentioned Lowry. That's one of the guys I'm looking for. I'm not looking at groups as much as I'm looking at individuals. Jeff Janis, I'm really interested to see if he's putting things together. Now they're saying in camp he's been hit or miss. He's still showing that big playability, but he's also still showing that he's lost. I think the difficult thing here is that we're not really going to see a definitive answer, because if Aaron Rodgers isn't on the field, none of those other guys are going to call Jeff Janis out publicly, and we won't know if it's his fault.
Yeah, we won't know, but the coaches certainly will. And, you'll still get to see him run in a straight line really fast on occasion.
Right. Janis, he's a physical freak, and I'm looking for him to take that step forward, as all Packers fans are. But I think let's see who plays quarterback, because one of the guys that I'm waiting to see is Brett Hundley, and now he's injured and he might not play. He tweaked his ankle at practice, so we might not be seeing Brett Hundley, which would be very unfortunate, because to me, he is one of the biggest reasons to watch this game. So Jeff Janis, Brett Hundley, those are my two biggest guys. I'm really excited to see Spriggs. He's been winning all of his one-on-ones. I think his record in one-on-ones in practice has been fantastic. Now, it sounds like he's struggling in run blocking, but Jason Spriggs is a guy that I think Packers fans should be excited about. And the guy that we should all pay attention to. I want to see what Carl Bradford looks like. Sounds like he's lost in practice again. It sounds like he's made some flash plays, but he's also been lost. So Mike Clements on WSSP today said it looks like he's running around the field looking for his keys. So
we had such high hopes for Bradford too when he came in.
I know,
because he was so good in college.
It's so disappointing.
Maybe he was literally looking for his keys, because that's upsetting,
Yeah. If he lost his keys at practice, I mean, it could have been the key to his locker. It's really important to have. I can understand maybe he was looking for that. Blake Martinez is a guy that everybody has been hearing a lot about, with Jake Ryan being hurt and Sam Barrington being hurt. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of him. I want to see how fast he is. That's one of the biggest things for me, because the Packers haven't had a linebacker that can cover anybody in a long time. So if that's something Blake Martinez can do, I expect that he's going to see the field an awful lot this season. So any other thoughts on that?
I guess, with Martinez, I'm kind of curious to see how quickly he picks up Dom Capers' system, because it seems to me like Capers' system takes a while for rookies to catch on to, at least at certain positions.
It doesn't take long for offenses to catch on to.
Hey-oh. I'm not even going to follow up on that. That was good.
I will say this: watching him on Sunday night, he's a fast guy. Like, he was keeping up with Devontae Adams on crossing routes, and I don't know if that says more about him or Adams, but it was nice to see. It was like the anti-AJ Hawk.
And by the way, sorry to interrupt, but my theory on the wide receivers I meant to say is they're going to pup Ty Montgomery and use that time to decide their wide receiver crew. I really think that's what they're going to do, and kind of use that as a disabled list, so they can keep the 6 receivers that they want, and Montgomery comes back halfway through the year, and they decide if they want to get rid of somebody or keep them.
Well, after reading that ESPN article today on the severity of his surgery and how big of a deal that it was, I don't even think they're going to have a choice. He's going to have to be on the pup. It sounds like, the surgery was December, know. But it's a blessing in disguise, because in the middle of the season you get Ty Montgomery back. It gives you a little extra time to decide who's going to stay, who's going to go. Jared Abbredaris is having a fantastic camp. And he's been one of the wide receivers that has stood out most, as well as Geronimo Allison, which his name is fantastic, but he's having a good camp. But that wide receiver group is stacked, and Ty Montgomery going on the pup and staying on it to start the season is actually going to be a huge help to the Packers, because they have a talented group. You want to keep your guys around, and so this is a chance for them to really decide who's their guy. Jeff Janis, though, I think is a lock for the roster because of his special teams play. Today they had him returning kicks. He was the main kick returner. Last year as a gunner, he was fantastic. So we're going to see Jeff Janis on this roster. The question is, when it does come time to make room for Ty Montgomery, who do you get rid of? That wide receiver group is a big question mark.
I'm happy to see Abby performing very well. I did say in a semi-bold prediction that he makes the team over Janis if they have to cut one of the two. I don't think they are going to cut either one of them because of Ty Montgomery's situation, but I think that he's long term. He may not have the physical ability that Janis does, but the damn guy, the guy can run a damn route, and that's if you can't be where the quarterback needs you to be, what's the point? So
right, he's on the same page. He's on the same page with Rodgers, which is the main thing that Jeff Janis is missing. He is very often not on the same page.
Well, not even the same page as Rodgers. Apparently, not on the same page as any quarterback, given the way that he's been, that his route running. I just don't understand how it hasn't improved.
He looks lost out there. It's like me when I'm trying to find, my kids in the swimming pool, and there's like 7,000 people there, and I'm like, hey, where you guys at? You have floaties on. You're not. Oh, there you are. Oh no, that's not you. That's how I feel Rodgers looks at Janis.
Let me kind of break down that, and then I want to get into another thing to watch for in the game. The big issue with Jeff Janis is that the Packers run a lot of option routes, and it depends on the defensive coverage. And it is up to the wide receivers to be able to read the coverage as well as the quarterback and be on the same page as the play starts. And all too often, Jeff Janis doesn't read it right, and he doesn't run the right route, and Rodgers throws the ball to an empty hole where Jeff Janis should be. And then Aaron Rodgers is mad, and Jeff Janis is standing there looking stupid. The big issue with Janis is that he's not putting it together in his head. We've talked about that at length last year, but it's sounding like he's having those same struggles this year, which is the biggest hurdle that he has.
Well, maybe you're a hole. How about that?
You're a hole. I hate you. All right, so the podcast got a little angry for a second. I apologize. All right, the other thing to watch, and this is something that Chris and I talked about with Jay this week on Twitter. What is Jay's Twitter handle? I can't remember it right now. Anyways,
it's in English.
It's not important. It's in English, whatever it is. The Packers last year were running a lot of isolation routes, which there were a lot of complaints about. They were running a lot of ISO routes, which means they were depending on the receivers to get open. It was up to the individual to get himself open, and it just wasn't working. They were playing outside the numbers, which means they were mostly throwing the ball outside of the numbers on the field and playing deep. But one of the things that the Packers used to do and do really well was run combination routes. So what I'm looking for on Sunday, the main thing I'm looking for is to see if they start running some of those things. And a combination route, it's a group of routes put together where three guys, let's say they're stacked, and they're going to run a shallow, medium, and long route. And one of those routes is going to pop open because those combination routes are designed to confuse the defense and get somebody open. It's designing your offense to get your guys open, and the Packers desperately missed that last year.
Do you think in the first of 5 preseason games, given the short amount of time they've had to practice, that you're going to see much of that? That's what I wonder.
Oh yeah, they're going to run the plays that they're going to run. It might not look good, and it might not turn out very well, but you're going to see them run what they're installing this year. So you're still going to see them putting their offense out on the field. It might look bad, but I think you'll be able to see some of that stuff. I don't think you're going to see a lot of deep stuff, especially with Rodgers. He's probably not going to play at all, and Brett Hundley, if he misses the game, you're probably not going to see a lot of down the field stuff. It'll be a lot of short passes. But I'm looking for slants. So maybe we can play a drinking game on Sunday. I'll be drinking water. Anytime you see a slant, drink, which could turn out terrible because you see one of them. But anyways, look for that. Look for the Packers to make that adjustment on offense. McCarthy said at the beginning of the year they were going back to the basics, and to me that's what that means. They're going back to what they started with. All right, we're gonna get to the Twitter questions. We have a good handful of them. We're gonna start off with Rusty Weiss. Have we ever clarified how do you say this dude's name?
We actually did, but none of us remember.
Yeah, we're great.
We're bad at clarification is the bottom line.
Well, I believe the Portuguese version of his last name is Rouse.
I think you're right. I think that is exactly what it is.
Pretty close.
All right,
true.
so
I read it on the internet.
So Rusty's Twitter question is: no way can a case be made for Kennard Backman to make the roster, can it? Time running out for Mitchell Henry as well. So what he's asking is if Kennard Backman and Mitchell Henry, if they're basically screwed out of a roster spot. And Chris, I'll start with you.
I was afraid you'd say that.
All right, James, I'll start with you.
Oh, well, honestly, I think Backman makes the team somehow. They're not going to run with only 2 tight ends, especially when Cook is coming off an injury and Richard Rodgers is Richard Rodgers. So
he's bootylicious.
Personally, I mean, I wouldn't mind Backman or Perillo. I like them both. I think Aaron Rodgers likes Perillo more than he likes Backman. But
I was going to say that's the battle there, right? Perillo versus Backman.
Yeah,
you know,
I would say
Perillo definitely looks better. He meets the eye test to me more than Backman does. But who am
Perillo is Jared Abbredaris. Backman is Jeff Janis.
Does Backman
talent.
Does Backman get to the practice squad?
No. I don't know.
I think he will. I think he would. But I mean, it does come down to those 2 guys. Bobbo, do you think there's any chance that either Mitchell Henry or Kennard Backman make the roster?
Oh man, I'm glad I don't have to say anything about that terrible analogy you just made. I guess I would. I mean, the little bit I've seen of Henry, it seems like they like to kind of utilize him as a receiver, and I think they. I haven't seen enough of him blocking, so I don't know what I could say for Mitchell Henry in that regard. But I guess he's got some promise, and Backman, I don't see a whole lot there. So I already forgot what your question was, but
if either of them have a chance of making the roster.
Solid analysis, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, I guess just because of the other names there, I'd say yeah. I guess one of them has a chance to make the team. I would not put money on it at this point.
All right, Chris.
I think Perillo makes the team over Backman, but I don't think it's impossible. That's pretty much all. You guys have pretty much covered it. I mean, Bobbo's analysis was so solid. I don't know that I can really follow it.
I'm looking at Casey Pierce here, and I'm like, who the heck is this guy? Penn State, is
Perillo
that still a
seems to
thing?
be catching. Perillo seems to be catching every ball that comes his way in camp. He's outperforming the rest of those guys. No, they're not going to keep 2 tight ends. That would just be terrible. It's going to be at least 3. But I will say this for Kennard Backman. They kept Carl Bradford on this roster for 2 seasons, and he's done absolutely 0. They will find a spot for Kennard Backman because they like his talent. They like his physical gifts. They are hoping that he can put it together and be something for them, and they're probably they're hoping he takes a jump this year, and I think he has. I think it's sounding like he has, but he's inconsistent. Maybe they're thinking that in the 3rd year he'll make a real jump, but if they can keep Carl Bradford around, they can keep Backman around. So, 2 different positions, not really comparable, but I did it anyways. All right, on to the next Twitter question. This question comes from Colleen. Her Twitter handle is "What are you tinkin'?" The question is, what do you think about the stupid Vikings jersey at the Hall of Fame in Brett Favre's locker? And this one, I will start with Chris. Ready, go.
I want to be really mad about it, but I can't be. Apparently it's not Favre's decision. And the jersey is there because he broke probably the interception record. That's my guess. But he broke a record in that jersey.
It was the consecutive games record.
Yeah, and I know that on some level the Hall of Fame is just tweaking the nipples of all Packers fans out there just to annoy us by putting it in there. But whatever. I don't know. I'm over it. There's no one in the world that associates Brett Favre with the Vikings. Yes, they know he played there, but he is not a Viking in the eyes of everyone on the planet except for Viking fans that are hopelessly holding on to the shred of glory that he provided for one season before breaking their hearts like he did to us, but without having delivered a Super Bowl championship prior to it. So I'm not mad about it. The Vikings suck. and their stadium looks like a giant stapler.
It does.
You're hanging on that stapler thing. That's
Oh, absolutely. Well, I need my internet thing. I'm trying. If this doesn't work out, I'll go something else.
You could just do a lot of memes about them not having Super Bowl rings. That always seems to work.
And that's
All
a
right,
go-to.
Bobbo?
If you think Griffith stapler, yeah, I completely forgot what I was gonna say now. I was trying to push that saying out there.
That was the worst impression I've ever heard.
Is that Mr. Rogers?
I've got more.
He can't speak Portuguese. He can't do impressions.
But can I do impressions in Portuguese? That's the real question. So the jersey thing, I can't believe what I just saw. That's what I'm saying to myself, because it reminds me of that call when Favre threw that interception that kept the Vikings out of the Super Bowl, and it makes me so happy. Jeremy, it was a ringtone on your phone for a while.
It was. That was.
And it was so brings me such joy. I don't know the jersey thing. I have a
question. Was that Detroit?
That they were playing against?
Oh,
No, that was
guys.
New Orleans.
Come on, guys. You don't remember the infamous radio call? This is the Super Bowl. This isn't Detroit.
Oh yeah, no, I remember it. That was my ringtone, and I still don't remember.
It was glorious.
Oh gosh. Maybe I can do impressions of those.
His radio calls are the best when the Vikings lose. That's some of the best stuff on the internet.
Aside from the play that clinched Super Bowl 45 for the Packers, I don't think any football play has made me quite as joyous as that interception did.
Yeah. So you know what? Now that we're talking about that, I'm glad Favre's Vikings jersey is going to the Hall of Fame, because I'm going to keep thinking of that. And it will make me smile.
All right. James?
Let me preface this by saying my least favorite fan base in all of professional sports are the Minnesota Vikings fan base. They are like mosquitoes, and they annoy me more than they should. So, that being said, I don't understand the uproar. I don't get it. To me, the NFL is honoring a player for his contributions to the game. He contributed the major records with two teams, 99.9% with the Packers and 0.1% with those guys. And so he has two jerseys, one that he wore during a game for us that he broke a major record, and one that he wore during a game for them that he broke a major record. Why can't we just let it be? The sour grapes has to stop at some point.
There's just a lot of bitterness.
I'm over it. I feel like the child of a family who's going through like a bitter divorce, but now they're kind of trying to get back together, like mom and dad are, they're seeing each other again and things are good. But like all of your brothers and sisters still hate him. And, they're like hiding things, like to make mom jealous. Like they're putting lipstick on his collar when he's not looking, and like just creating reasons to hate the guy. And I'm over it. I'm tired of hating Brett Favre.
Look, if Brett Favre had taken the Vikings to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl this weekend, I wouldn't turn my TV on. He would be still dead to me. Despite the fact the guy's playing on another team and he should try to win the games, I would never have gotten over that. And I would be just more bitter than I am right now. But you know what? They didn't win the Super Bowl.
Nope. Nor will they ever.
Most likely, they will never win the Super Bowl. So we can move on.
Go ahead,
Bobbo.
I can honestly tell you that after the initial rage of Favre signing with the Vikings kind of subsided, I actually, deep down, I didn't say this to very many people, but I actually felt kind of good about the signing, because I knew Favre could still be good in the regular season, but he was gonna blow it in the playoffs. I knew he didn't have it anymore. So I was actually kind of okay with it.
Well, I mean, I choose to look at that and the way that it ended for the Vikings as Brett Favre's last trolling of Minnesota. He didn't have to throw an interception. He chose to throw that interception. Those suckers still don't have a Super Bowl ring. They didn't even get to the Super Bowl that year, and Brett Favre did it on purpose. That's what I've decided. As far as the jersey goes, I'm with Chris. I want to be mad, but like I can't. You don't retire in the NFL and then go into the Hall of Fame associated with a team. They honor you, and in doing that, your team's things get put into the Hall of Fame. So these are just things that Brett Favre broke records in, during his career. So
Exactly. The mementos.
you really can't be mad. And James, you're right too. I don't want to be mad about Brett Favre stuff anymore. I want to remember the parts of Brett Favre that were enjoyable. Watching him play football. I hate you, Chris. Watching him play football.
Some parts of Brett Favre were less enjoyable.
I don't get it.
So
I'll send you a text.
I just want to remember the times where Brett Favre was a Packer, and it was enjoyable to watch, and he was that aw shucks country bumpkin guy for the Green Bay Packers. That's it. And I'm over all that stuff because I don't want to think about it. So before we move on to the next Twitter question, I'm gonna impart some wisdom onto Packer Nation, or whatever you want to call this. Nothing in life has any meaning. It all has the meaning that you give it. If you want to give Brett Favre's jersey from the Minnesota Vikings in the Hall of Fame that much power in your life, go right ahead. But I'm not gonna. It has no meaning. Brett Favre was fantastic. I choose to remember that, and I choose to enjoy his time as a Packer. I am over the Minnesota Vikings stuff. I don't care what they put in the Hall of Fame.
And to add to that a little bit, all we are is dust in the wind.
All we are is dust in the wind. All right.
Moving on. Wayward Sons.
We're going to move on to the next Twitter question. This name is difficult for me to pronounce, but I'm going to do it. It's Gubehs. You can follow him on Twitter. I'm going to spell it out. Gubehs. He is actually the guy running the Cheeseheads BR website. Give him a follow on Twitter. He sent us a question. Here in Brazil, a lot of people think that Abbredaris can only play in the slot. I disagree. What do you guys think about it? Bobbo, your thoughts? Bobbo?
It's about what I expected.
Bobbo's got nothing.
He's Google translating right now.
Did we lose Bobbo? He's gone. We lost him. Oh gosh.
He's in Brazil.
All right. Just Bobbo's internet life within his household is a train wreck. It's fantastic. Okay, James, I'm going to throw this to you then. Do you think that Abbredaris can only play in the slot?
No, I think that's where he's best suited. But I think he could come outside if he needs to. He doesn't have the speed necessarily of a Jordy Nelson, but he runs really good routes and he knows how to get open and he catches the ball. So I honestly think Abbredaris could play any spot up there that you wanted him to. Heck, they even had him running taking handoffs this week in practice,
right,
which scares the daylights out of me. But
giving him a little bit of the Cobb stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's versatile, and that's his biggest asset. And I think and the slot is primarily where he's going to be, but he could do anything. He's
I agree.
My hero.
I think he's physically he's built for the slot. That's where he fits best as a player. He's more built for that, but I think that he's got the savvy to play on the outside. Jared Abbredaris has never been good because of his physical giftings. Jared Abbredaris has always been good in college or now in the pros. The reason that he's good is because he gets it mentally. And I think that he can play on the outside because of that. Is it the best spot for him? No, I think he's built to be in the slot. But I could see them putting him out there. I don't like him running the ball, mostly because I feel like he's made of glass. And I really don't want him running anywhere near big fat guys. So, I don't like that, but...
Oh.
So, Chris?
I'm really high on Abby. I think he can play pretty much all over. I mean, like you said, he doesn't have the speed of Jordy Nelson or at least old Jordy Nelson. We'll see how Jordy's doing this year. But I think he's more versatile because he is more sure in his route running and I don't know. I haven't watched any of training camp this year, except for a little bit. I was able to watch a little bit of Family Night, but so I'm basing this really kind of on like secondhand tweets. I'm excited about the camp he's having, and I think he can play more than just the slot. But I think that's where they'll use him a lot.
I agree. Bobbo, you're back. Would you like me to read you this Twitter question? Bobbo, you're gone.
No, Bobbo is not back.
Did Bobbo ever really exist?
He said he's back. He said it on Facebook, so it's real. So
Is he like Bruce Willis in The Sixth Sense?
I don't know. All right, well, we're going to move on to the next Twitter question.
I don't know what's happening.
Oh, Bobbo's back.
I'm here.
Bobbo's back. Welcome back to the show, Bobbo.
Back again. Yes. Can you please repeat the question? Jeff Janis popped over and we were having a word. So.
All right. The Twitter question is, here in Brazil, a lot of people think Abbredaris can only play in the slot. I disagree. What do you guys think about it?
I think Abbredaris could, as much as I love Jeff Janis, obviously I was just telling the man, 10 seconds ago. I like Abbredaris a heck of a lot too. I think he can do very little, if any, wrong, outside of, the whole not getting injured thing. So if they put him on the outside, I pretty much have faith that he could get the job done until he proved otherwise.
I just love the fact that there are people in Brazil talking about Jared Abbredaris.
I agree.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. All right. Last Twitter question.
Can I just say, real quickly before we move on, I'm just glad that this show's got a Brazilian.
I just, you are impressive. All right. Last Twitter question comes from Maverick the Fox. It kind of ties into that question. How is the wide receiver competition shaking out so far? Rank them. Who would like to start out ranking these wide receivers?
I better go first. I better go first because otherwise you're going to disconnect me again. Well, okay, Jordy's 1, right?
Right. Okay.
That's a given. Randall Cobb's 2, easy. Adams has got to be 3 until further notice. Do we rank Montgomery?
I would. I mean, I'm gonna, but.
Okay, I guess, if Adams is 3, Montgomery's kind of tentatively the 4. Then what, Abbredaris has got to be 5, and I guess it depends a little on, as much, I don't want to badmouth Jeff Janis, but they might make him a special teams guy, so Davis might be quote-unquote the 6. And then I guess it's Allison. Beyond that, I want to put Harvey Binford next on the list just because I like his name. Otherwise, man, I don't know. Ed Williams, Herb Waters, Jamel Johnson. I'm gonna go.
You're just reading rosters at this point.
Yes, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna just go in that order because I kind of like the idea of having a receiving core with guys named Harvey, Ed, and Herb.
All right.
It sounds so 1950s.
Now that Bobbo has spoken, I just want to make it clear you don't have to rank the bottom of that group. Just stick to the ones that are important.
Please rank the wide receivers 1 through 14.
All right, James.
You didn't say where to stop.
Well, obviously, Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb. Then it gets a little dicey for me because I want to put Devontae Adams at number 3, but I also would like to be able to eat a whole pizza, and I can't do that.
I believe in you, James.
I can.
Consider yourself lucky. But I'm going to do it because I have optimism and faith, and you can hear that in my voice right now. So Devontae will be number 3. I'm going with Abby number 4, and I guess Janis 5.
So you're just leaving Montgomery off that list?
Until we see what he can do. If he can come back and be the Montgomery that he was last year, he'll vault right over Adams for me. He'll be number 3, easy. But I don't know. That injury is so severe. What's he going to be like when he comes back? That's the biggest question for me.
But what about Davis? You didn't put him in your list.
He's number 6 or number
Number
5.
6.
Whatever the next one chronologically would have been. That's what Trevor Davis will be.
Basically, the way this is shaking out so far, none of those other names matter, and it's still just the core group we know of. So, Chris, your ranking.
Okay. Jordy, Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams, despite people's concern about him. Ty Montgomery, if healthy, he's not healthy, but oh well, he's number 4. I put Abby ahead of Janis, and that's about as deep as I go because I'm not able to watch camp. So other than basing it on beat reporters' tweets, or also plagiarized beat writers' tweets, I really can't make a decision after that.
Do you want to speak on these people plagiarizing beat writers? Do you have any thoughts on that?
If you really want to go there, sure, absolutely.
We can, but after I give you my list here.
Okay, I'd love to.
Yeah, sure. We'll let it rip. So okay, it's the obvious two: Jordy Nelson and then Cobb, Devontae Adams, Ty Montgomery, then Trevor Davis. And the reason that I'm going to put Trevor Davis there, actually next that I can't even. No, it is Trevor Davis because I have to put Janis ahead of Abbredaris, and the only reason that I have to do that is that Jeff Janis is more important on special teams than Abbredaris, and so he gets a higher number on the list. And Trevor Davis to me is ahead of Jeff Janis as a receiver, so that's just how the bottom half of that has to lay out. I like Abbredaris. I think he's a better receiver than Jeff Janis. I don't know that he can stay healthy, and I don't think that he can be on the special teams units and stay healthy for an entire season. It's just way too brutal. There's a lot of really big hits, a lot of big collisions, and I don't know that his body can handle it. So there you go. Chris, all right, let it rip. What are your thoughts on people plagiarizing tweets, and who are the culprits that we are most mad at?
Oh, we're going names here? I'm willing
if you
to.
Want.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's a huge problem I have. We do this for fun. We put a lot of work into it though. Our writers, our guys that we have that write for us don't get paid. We don't make any money. It costs us money to run the site in the long run. But we enjoy doing it. What pisses me off is seeing guys who are not only stealing tweets, but directly plagiarizing tweets, acting as if they're beat writers. And the one that we know is Eric Upton. So if you follow him, maybe give it an unfollow, because all he does is literally steal tweets from beat writers and act as if he's a beat writer. He's not the only one. There are a ton out there that do it. And what really gets to me is you watch, they have 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 Twitter followers. They get reaction to their quote unquote stories that all they did was copy and paste. You call them out on it. The beat writers call them out on it, and nothing happens. If you're following someone for news, follow someone who actually reports news, someone who does it for a living. We've made a very conscious decision on Titletown Sound Off not to try to report news because we don't cover it. We do opinion, we do analysis, we hope we have a little bit of fun, but we're not there other than times when we're like at family night or at a game. We can't report news because all we'd be doing is summarizing someone else's article. So why are we giving these people why are we giving them follows and giving them retweets and giving them essentially money, because you build up their little own personal brand and you're taking away from people who do this for a living. It ticks me off. And what really irks me, especially about Eric, is there are dozens of people that have called him out on it. I mean, his tweets have been word for word stolen from beat writers seconds after they tweeted it. And you know what? He's still out there with thousands of followers and people who get their news from him, from his stolen tweets. I'm tired of it. I wish there was some sort of consequence, or maybe I just am way too concerned about it, but it really gets me.
I don't think so because if the beat writers didn't care, then it's not a big deal. But we have seen, Rob Domofsky comment on it happening. He doesn't just take the news and reword it and tweet it out. He has copy and pasted tweets and didn't credit the person who tweeted it and tweeted it out as his own news. We actually asked Eric to write for us at one point, and then it was brought to our attention what was going on, and we instantly said, "This isn't a fit. We can't do this." He claims to have people in Green Bay that give him that news. It's not. I don't buy it.
He does. They're called beat writers, but they don't give it to him. He steals it.
Right. He claims to have connections in Green Bay. I did confront him about it privately. And the reason that I'm so willing to be public about it is that this guy has ignored everyone as they've called him out on it. And he just continues on doing it, and he shouldn't. So if you're following Eric Upton, you need to unfollow that guy. He's literally stealing from other people in the hard work that they're doing. You just can't support that. So there are other ones. If you see them, unfollow. If you're following those guys, unfollow them. But next time Eric Upton tweets out news that's league-wide, Packers news, whatever, search through your beat writers' Twitter accounts, and I guarantee you will find a tweet that is almost exactly the same as Eric's tweet, because that's how he does it. He doesn't even change it that much. He'll take it almost word for word. It's crazy.
Dad.
Okay. Yeah. On that note, now that we've completely steamrolled Eric Upton,
And look,
we're gonna end the podcast.
He's not the only one. There's a lot out there.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of them, but he's got a lot of Twitter followers. I don't understand how he's got as many as he has, because it's so blatant, it's so obvious that it's happening, and he's got a lot of Twitter followers. So if you're following him,
imagine if somebody did that for like everyday news, like they followed NBC Nightly News, and milliseconds after they tweet out something about the election, they just steal it,
right?
Like, tweet it out. I mean, what's the point? And why on earth would anybody like follow that when they know that the source is just as easy to find? It drives me crazy.
It's stupid. So, anyways, with that being said, we're going to end the show. Thank you for listening to Titletown Sound, episode 73. It has been a blast. We'll bring you guys another podcast next week after the Packers face off against the Colts. Bobbo, do you have anything to say to close the podcast?
Well, yes, I do have a couple things I'd like to say. I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsor, who we didn't actually do an ad for today, but What's the Score? The Sports News Quiz, which is an awesome podcast. And they do all sorts of sports trivia and stuff and whatnot and all that good stuff. They've got another live show coming up, I think not this Sunday, but the following Sunday, which I can't remember the date of, the 14th, I think. So just want to give them a shout out. Sunday the 14th, 2:30 p.m. And their last show, they featured 6:20 a.m.'s Doug Russell, TMJ4's Lance Allen, and I'm blanking on the other guy, Kevin Holden, I believe, from CBS 58. So 3 local Milwaukee guys. I know Chris has no idea who I'm talking about right now, but that's okay. But just wanted to give our guys there a shout out. Baxter and Josh do an awesome job with that show, and Mrs. Baxter as well, who produces and all that good stuff.
They seem to be good guys as well, so that's nice.
Yeah, they're cool. They're cool dudes, good dudes, and they are worthy of a Twitter follow. Which I can't remember what their Twitter is right now, but look around, you'll find them.
You're quite the spokesman.
Okay, Bobbo, what else do you have to say to end the podcast?
Nothing in Portuguese, I can tell you that.
I was really hoping that you would say something in Portuguese.
I disagree.
Oh, gosh.
I could say, don't forget to pet your cat, and if I can find it before we sign off, I can try it in Portuguese.
No, just save it for next week. From now on, that's how you end the show. Don't forget to pet your cat in Portuguese.
In that case, well, I've got it. I'm ready to say it now. Here we go. Don't forget to pet your cat in Portuguese.
Oh, my God.
Oh, God. Right.
Now I hate you.
Join the club.
I hate you. James, the listeners hate you. Everyone hates you.
James, do you have anything to say?
I'm so disappointed in Bobbo right now. My heart is broken, but...
Just join the group. There's
a club on Facebook.
Thanks for reading our stuff. All of our weekly stuff comes out this week or starts this week. So check it out on the website and keep on rocking in the free world or wherever you are.
Nice.
Did you just make that up?
I think no. Yeah, I found it in a tweet.
Eric Upton tweeted it. Okay, Chris.
Good night, vague hamster.
All right. As James said, the breakdown is up on the website. We are starting our weekly post this week. The Packers have a game, so we have things to write about. So go ahead and check that out, TitletownSound.com. You can follow the Twitter account at Titletown Sound. Thank you for listening to the show. We will bring you another show very soon.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name.